Welcome to Work You Love, real stories of career change and fulfillment. This is the show where we share real stories of people who once felt stuck in their careers, made a change, and found work that lights them up. I'm your host, Danielle. I've worn a lot of hats in my own career, and my mission here is simple: to help you find work that you love. Each week, you'll hear inspiring stories and practical tools to stop feeling stuck and start building a career that truly fits you. So let's dive in. I'm so excited for you all to listen to this episode. I first heard Becky over a year ago, and her story inspired me to start creating my own digital products. So this truly feels like a full circle moment having her on the show today. Becky went from being an in-debt UX engineer to building an almost $80K per month digital products business. And now she's helping others do the same. Stay tuned to the very end because the takeaways from this episode are going to be so incredibly helpful for your own journey. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you on. I think you have such a relatable and inspiring story. I always love to start with, what are you doing now and what do you love most about it?
I'm running a membership called businessbeachclub.com. I'm really enjoying coaching other people because in the past I would just rely on passive income, like from my courses. And during the day, I would like watch Netflix because I was like getting sales all day, and I just had a lot of extra time to just do anything really. But now, yeah, I thought, hey, I really need to, get out there and like do coaching and help other people do this too, because so they can stand with their children.
And just for people who aren't aware of what you do, what specifically do you coach your members on?
I help them scale, and some of them are even new to certain digital product businesses. And I help them put products on their blog to sell. I work with a lot of bloggers and service providers that are wanting to, stop working hourly because a lot of service providers they have to just rely on one-on-one calls all day or do services, and that they don't have nothing to show for it at the end of the day. And I have been there. I was a service provider for 20 years. I designed websites and mobile apps for various companies, and I worked hourly and like as a contractor. And I was full time a few times, but like I don't have much of a 401k. Like I just been building up my set from being a business owner because I was just doing hourly. I was trading my hours for dollars. And then now I sell digital products and I make them one time. And I could sell them over and over again, no inventory, and they're instantly downloadable. So people get them right away and then there's no shipping time.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, I started because of you. They say that passive income doesn't exist, but it is actually passive income because once you put a really good
Mhm.
product out there and people buy it, people keep on purchasing it over and over again. And generally, you don't have to do that much to actually keep up with it. Just to rewind a bit, I'd love to get into a little bit more of your story and where you were before you launched this business. I know you mentioned you were designing websites. What was the moment where you realized that you didn't want to do that anymore? And then how did you discover digital products?
Sure. Well, I was doing it for like probably almost 20 years. But then I got this really toxic boss. He was the worst boss I ever had. He was so verbally abusive. And he even was, yeah, he was kind of getting into like being sexually, too. Like he made some kind of offhand comments, about how I looked. And like, I just was really upset. Like I couldn't believe I was working for somebody like this. Like he would tell me I wasn't creative enough and I didn't deserve my senior level title. And then he said I was worthless. And at the time, I had a 3-year-old baby boy to take care of, and he depended on me. And my husband didn't make enough money to support us. And I felt stuck and I was trapped. I didn't know what to do. Nobody else was hiring, it seemed. Like I kept putting out applications and I just wasn't getting any hits. And, but then I said, hey, you know what? Like I'm tired of working for people. I have enough intelligence. I think I could start my own business. Like I'm really good in like tech and, graphic design. Like there's surely something I could do. So, one night, I just went home crying because it was like really bad that day at the job. I was like looking online, just frantically searching for like ways to make money online. So I said, surely there's something I could do online to make money. And I stumbled upon this guy and he says he's making 30,000 a month from his blog. And I was like, what? And I thought maybe I could do a blog too. Like I would be happy with even half of that or even like a third of that. So I started mombeach.com, and it's a blog that I've been running for 10 years now. And it helps moms find success and balance through, making money and saving money and doing side hustles. So I just like went all in and I was posting like every week into the blog and really giving it my all. Yeah, so then eventually I ended up getting fired from that job because I just got so tired of him treating me like that. So I just really let him have it one day. I don't know what came over me. And so then I just worked on my blog for like the next like 6 weeks, before I found another job.
It was just almost like you hit rock bottom in this job. It sounds like you were treated horribly, which I'm so sorry you went through that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but I loved that you didn't accept that as your reality and you used that to take action in addition to your job. I think what scares people a lot is even if they're unhappy in their work, they're too scared to leave their jobs because there's obviously the sense of security. But I think you taking that action and just at night, like researching what you could do and then starting that blog and really gaining momentum on it is such a great
Hmm.
takeaway for other people to learn that you can just like start small, start with doing some research or starting that blog and just starting to write and see what resonates and what doesn't resonate. And then at what point did you decide to do this full time? So you worked on the blog for 6 weeks. Did you find another job as you continue to work on the blog and then that kind of took off and you were able to go full time with this?
Well, yes, I ended up having to find another job because my first month of blogging, I only made like $1.50. It was from Survey Junkie. It's this affiliate. So I was doing affiliate marketing, and I was trying to get into an ad network, but I didn't have enough traffic. It's probably getting about like 100 or 200 page views a month at that time, and I really couldn't get into a good ad network. So like I just didn't have enough money. You can't feed a family on $1.50 a month. So I eventually had to get another job. I took a position at 7-Eleven headquarters in Las Colinas, and I was on their UX team, and they promised they would hire me on full time if I worked there 6 months. So, after 6 months came, they said, "Hey, we're just not going to hire anybody right now. We're having a hiring freeze." That same old excuse. I was tired of contracting. I wanted to start, building a 401k and, getting benefits. I was just using my husband's benefits at his job. I ended up, losing that job. And then I just kept working on the blog and learning all I could. And I was just really enjoying the blog and teaching other women how to make money. And at the time, I was doing a lot of side hustling. I was on eBay selling clothes. I did drop shipping. But after a while, I realized that wasn't a good business venture, the drop shipping, because a lot of times it would take 3 months for the item to come to the person from China, from the factory. And by then, a lot of times they would do a chargeback. So I almost lost my PayPal and Stripe, from that. And then I knew that's not a viable business doing drop shipping or even physical products in general because you just never know about the shipping. And plus, you would have to hold inventory if you weren't drop shipping. And I didn't have the room. I just had a small apartment. That's when I stumbled upon digital products. And I said, I made like a printable product. It was a planner, my first item. And then I made a Shopify store because when I was working full time, I actually would design Shopify stores for some of the companies I worked at. And when Shopify was brand new, I actually made their store, so I was familiar with Shopify. But it's very user friendly to make a Shopify store. It's very intuitive. There's a lot of free tutorials online, so anybody that's thinking of starting a store on Shopify, you should definitely check it out. Or even Etsy. I also did an Etsy store. I still have it, and I tend to make more money on the Shopify though.
Yeah, I think that that's also so cool that you were just like trying things out and you were seeing what works and what doesn't work. I have a similar story in that I also started drop shipping and
Hmm.
then I realized why would someone come to my website and buy these
Yeah.
bands when they could go to Amazon, get it in 2 days, easy returns. And then I also realized it really wasn't something that I was passionate about. And I feel like the amount of time that you need to put in to actually build a successful side hustle, you have to care a bit more about. I think it's awesome that even in your first month of blogging, you made any money. Just that little amount kind of shows your brain, oh, I can make money from doing something that I like to do and create, which I think is an awesome first step. But from when you created that first digital product to, I know the last time I listened to your podcast, you'd scaled it to like $30,000 months for specifically for your digital products. How did you gain that momentum? Like what steps did you take to really scale and make this a full-time business?
Oh, sure. Well, like I said, the first product was that home binder. It was a printable for moms to they can organize and clean, and it was a very hot selling product. It was like the first printable that I really made, other than freebies I was giving out. Like that was the first one I actually sold. Like I was giving a lot of freebies out each week, And, because I had in I studied graphic design in school. I have a BFA in fine arts. And so I knew the programs, like I use InDesign to make my printables. But eventually, I migrated over to PowerPoint and Canva. Like, I really didn't know Canva at the time, so I didn't have to learn and did a lot of tutorials. So then I started making more printables because everybody really liked that home binder. I got lots of sales. I got about $1,000 in sales. Like the first few months I had it up in my store, and I would promote it to my email list. And I built the email list from the printables that I had given out for free. Because if you have like a printable as a free opt-in that matches the blog content in which it's presented, you're going to more likely get subscribers. Like, for instance, I talked about, home organization on this one blog post, and I had the home binder, just a few pages of it as the freebie. Then when they opted in, they were presented with the full Monty, like the full planner that they could purchase for like $7. And they wanted to get the full thing because they only got like a few pages of it as like a sample as the freebie. So I got lots of sales from that, and then eventually I made it into a bundle. So now I have like a big bundle of printables that they get when they opt into that same freebie. So the same freebie has been giving me probably have like had like over 50,000 subscribers just from that one freebie alone. And then I soon made even more funnels. Like on my blog, it's like when you do an opt-in and you do like an upsell, and then you do an email sequence to sell people who didn't opt in to the upsell. And then that's how you get sales in the back end. And then I ended up doing 7 funnels. So that blog now has like over 7 funnels based on the different content pillars. So I just like switch it out. I talk about blogging, I'll have the blogging funnel. And if I talk about, finance, I'll have the budgeting mom funnel that leads to a budgeting spreadsheet. And yes, that's basically what I do to make money, and how I was able to scale was making these funnels that matched my content pillars.
Most people think if they want to build their own business, they have to show up on camera or start their own Instagram page. And that stops a lot of people from showing up because it could be terrifying. Especially me, as I learn how to like show up on my YouTube channel, it's definitely challenging. So I think your approach is also really great because you were just writing about things that you were interested in or you thought that could help other people. And then that generated a lot of sales. And then, yeah, I think building an email list is on the top of everyone's list if they want to start their own business, just like really
Yes.
owning your audience instead of being dependent on any of these different
Mhm.
platforms. I want to dig in a little bit more to your entrepreneurship journey. I'm sure that there were a ton of roadblocks along the way. I myself have experienced a lot of, wow, I really need to work on my mindset. I really believe in myself
Yeah.
and I know that I can do this. What were some experiences that you had related to that? And then how did you overcome them to now?
I grew up in a really abusive household. Like, I was emotionally, physically abused, and sexually abused growing up, and I just had very low self-esteem. It just carried me into adulthood. I would walk down, like I remember walking with my head down, and I would shuffle. And if I went into a room, I didn't know anybody in the room. I didn't see anybody in the room because I was just looking down. I was really scared to give eye contact. I just felt that I was too worthless to look anybody in the eye. Like, just because I was running this negative tape in my head, because my mother would tell me growing up that I was stupid, fat, and ugly. So I started believing that myself, and I would just look in the mirror and say, "Gosh, I wouldn't look in the mirror when I went into the bathroom anywhere. Wouldn't even look." No, I never knew how I really looked because I never looked at myself. I just was ashamed of my appearance. I was very overweight. When I got into my 20s, I became 450 pounds, and I was obese. I wasn't taking care of myself. I was overeating. I was stuffing the pain. We go to buffets and have like 3 plates of food. I just wanted to feel full because growing up, we starved a lot, because we didn't have enough food. So I just loved the feeling of fullness, and I would try to make it last as long as I could. It was comforting. And so I just had a very low opinion of myself. I had suffered from really low self-esteem, and that did carry into adulthood, especially in the finances department, because I was also in scarcity mode. Like I said, "Oh, I'm just so poor. I can't do this. I can't." I would tell myself all these limiting beliefs. And eventually I just started listening to this podcast. It was Melissa Griffin's podcast. Like, I don't think she does entrepreneurship anymore, but she had a really good podcast. And one day she had this guy on there named Jim Fortin, and he does like transformational coaching. And I listened to what he said. It just changed my life. So then I ended up joining his program, and it was like $3,000 for like 3 months. But I just put on a credit card. Yeah, and I even know it was hard to pay for, but I eventually just took his program, and it was really life changing. I highly recommend everybody check him out. Like he was like really useful, and he taught me self hypnosis. So then I would do self hypnosis, and I'll tell myself good things and replace all the negative thoughts. And then eventually I stopped thinking awful thoughts about myself. It was replaced with the good thoughts. And then I would even I put a rubber band on my wrist, and when I go into even if I were a store or in a bathroom, I would like if a negative thought came into my head, I would say, "No, that's not true," and I would snap the band. And one time I was in the bathroom, and then I thought a negative thought about myself. I looked in the mirror and I said, "Gosh, I sure look fat and puffy." And I said, "That's not true." And I snapped the wrist. This lady in the bathroom came out and she goes, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Like she was all alarmed, like scared, like and yeah, kind of freaked out. She didn't know what was going on. So like I would do that even if I was in public place. And that really helped.
Yeah, that is such a powerful story, and you didn't let your traumatic upbringing take control and dictate the rest of your life, and I think those podcasts, the more that you can listen to just other people's inspiring stories and understand how to overcome those limiting beliefs, and it's so inspiring that you came from such a, like, low self-worth place and then literally reprogrammed your brain into this new life where I'm sure you're feeling a lot healthier, you're making the money that you want. People can feel like with these like some of these coaching programs, they're skeptical of them, like Tony Robbins, or I really like something called To Be Magnetic, which is very similar in using hypnosis tools to overcome your limiting beliefs. But this kind of gives permission to people to understand these programs actually work if you invest your energy into them, and they can really help you overcome these huge obstacles that you might have mentally. Because really, if you are going to change careers or build your business, the one thing I always say is you have to have just like unshakable confidence and belief in yourself. If you don't, at the first roadblock or the first like bad review or the first rejection, you're going to reiterate those thoughts in your head of like, see, this doesn't work for me, or see, like, I can't be successful like other people. Those tips that you gave, even with the rubber band of interrupting those patterns, is so powerful because it really is like everything is in our brains. So it's all about just rewiring those like neural connections to think positive emotions. And then that completely
Mhm,
changes our reality. And thank you so much for
mhm.
opening up and sharing that. For someone who might be in a similar state that you were in, where maybe they're burnt out, they're overworked, they really don't like their manager, they're being treated poorly. What would you give them as their first step?
Well, it just depends on where they're at, like, are in their mind, like, what's, like, the most, difficult problem they're currently having. If it's, like, finance, they probably should get to go to a credit counselor if you have lots of credit card debt. It just depends, like, I would definitely sell your finances first because starting a business can get really expensive. Like,
Mm,
I spent $20,000 my first month of business, and I really, regretted that I spent so much because there's a lot of people that prey on new business owners, and they'll sell them courses that are really expensive. Like this one lady sold me like $1,000 course, and like it was kind of above where I was at the time, but I thought I needed it because she was a really good marketer, and she even did follow up videos. Like if you didn't purchase, if you showed interest, she would like tag you. Not, like, up to the time, I didn't realize how she knew that I showed interest, like what was going on. But now that I know, you can tag people that show interest or click on what you're offering, and we can like follow up later with them. Like that's a really strong marketing tactic that a lot of people will use, to just, follow up with interested people, and she did that to me, and I ended up buying it even though I really wasn't ready for it, and I spent, like I did a payment plan, and it ended up being 1,200 instead of 1,000, and I didn't end up finishing it because I didn't understand, well, because I had no, marketing, no sales experience. I struggled to even sell Girl Scout cookies growing up, so I had to teach myself all these skills because there's a lot to learn when you're doing a business. You do have to know sales and marketing to actually get anywhere. You can't just have a really nice blog and that's it. You have to know sales and marketing. You have to get people to purchase. You have to know what to do to advertise your products, like all about advertising. So like it was a big lesson to learn. So if anybody out there wondering about how they could get started, you really got to learn sales and marketing. Like there's a lot of, like I have a businesspeachclub.com membership where you just pay a small fee each month, and you get access to all my sales and marketing courses. And I just wish something like that existed back when I was starting because I wouldn't have to spend $20,000. So it's just a lot better to invest in like a membership that has everything you need.
Yeah, that's such a relatable point. I think part of opening your business is you realize all that you don't know, and then you suddenly start getting marketed all these different courses and programs that could potentially help. And some of them are really good. Like I think your membership is really good, really helpful, but some are not. I mean, I made a similar investment last year that did not pay off at all. And I was thinking about it the other day, and instead of looking at it as a regret, I was kind of like, this is the price that you pay to be in a, or find a course that actually does work or find a program that actually does work. And then I liked this quote that I heard from my coach actually, and she said, you either win or you learn, which
Yeah.
yeah, I love that takeaway because although at the time, or even looking back, sometimes we can feel like, wow, that was a mistake. I could probably list out
Mhm.
like 5 things that I did or learned from that that then helped me in my career journey and building out my side hustle. But that's such a relatable story. And I think probably something that almost every person who's ever either changed careers or launched their own business has been through. And going back to the money part, because you mentioned that growing up, you know, that you had this scarcity mindset, which is so valid. I again was in a similar situation where my dad had grown up in poverty and kind of that carried over into my own brain and life. So similarly, like whenever we would go to buffets, he would, you know, take all the food and put it on the table, and it was way too much.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
um, so how did you specifically work on overcoming that lack mentality to the point where it it opened up the doors for you to be able to make so much money from this business?
Well, yeah, I just like had this I don't know anything growing up. Like we didn't have many toys. Like we eat peanut butter sandwiches. Even to this day, I can't have any peanut butter sandwiches. It makes me so sick to even see. Like I don't like to have peanut butter in the house. But Brian, my son, loves peanut butter, and I hate white bread because we would just have the awful Wonder Bread. It was the cheapest from the food pantry at the church. Like they would always give us Wonder Bread, and sometimes it was moldy, and we had to eat around the edges. Yeah, so like it was just really rough growing up like that, and not knowing if we had enough food. So that's why when I would go to the buffets, I would just stuff myself, and that's how I gained so much weight. And like you said about your dad, about he just like had just all this food because you know when you go to a buffet, it's just limitless food, and if you come from nothing, you just can't help yourself. Like the food, and plus the food comforted me, made me happy because I still have a hole inside me, even to this day. So I feel it with like shopping a lot of times and like other things. So I'm not totally healed because it takes a lot. I've been seeing a therapist and trying to get through it. But, you know, this hole inside me from the neglect growing up and the abuse, like, it's just there's a hole and it's hard to fill it. So I would fill it with food. And now that I can't eat, I had a gastric sleeve done, you know, so I can't eat very much. But it was really life changing because I was at the point where I was going to have diabetes because I couldn't stop eating.
Mhm.
And yeah, so that like just having that scarcity mindset, you know, and that's what accumulated all the weight because I thought I was in scarcity. I thought I had to eat. I remember my dad picking me up, you know, because I had no car all through college and no phone even, and he would pick me up, and I go look at his gas, and if he had empty gas, that meant that he had no money to feed us. But if his gas tank was full, that meant that he recently got paid, so we'll be able to eat that night. So I remember just looking for his gas tank to see if we could eat or not. Like, yeah, so it was just how bad it was. And that did carry into adulthood. I had very bad credit card debt. I amassed over 150,000 in debt. I had debt from school loan because I couldn't get a scholarship. They only gave scholarships to minorities in my high school. I went to like an inner city school. And so I ended up having to get a big loan. It was like really expensive. And when I graduated, and it was suddenly due right then when I graduated, and I had no job. Like I couldn't find a job. Took me 6 months to find a job, and I only found one because I taught myself coding and web development. 'Cause, nobody would hire me as a graphic designer. They all wanted experience. It was a very, really high competition position. Like, everybody and my brother was trying to get into graphic design, and they all said, "Oh, I majored at school. Maybe I should get a graphic design career," but I couldn't find one, so I had to teach myself another skill set, web design, even though I didn't like I'm super creative. I don't wanna look at just code, like, that's boring, but luckily it's colored, you know, you actually get some colors and some stimulation. And so it was just really hard to go from just having nothing, and then eventually when I started making money, I got to because, you know, web design and development and app development, like, I was making a lot of money. I soon began making 6 figures as a web developer. and I had all this money, but, just something was missing. Like, I had these awful bosses, and they didn't know how long stuff takes, and they would make us work well into the night. I remember one time I worked until 2 a.m. at this one job, and they had no overtime. It was just horrible. And I said, like, that is, even though I'm making money now and I'm having all this money, I was able to, like, I still had all this debt because I was still in scarcity mode because the scarcity didn't go away.
Your story is just so inspiring because it shows no matter what situation you've been in and what happened growing up can overcome them. I'm so grateful that you're sharing this because I think that you can continue to be stuck in that lack mentality and not overcome it and then just live the rest of your life in that mindset. And we don't want people to do that. We want people to be happy and make all the money that they want and not be in debt. And yeah, the college loans is another relatable topic. I think when you're like 18 and you're going to college, you have no idea what paperwork you're signing off on. You just know that you need it. And
Yeah,
then
a lot
after
of
you
pressure.
graduate, you're like, oh my gosh, now I have all of this debt. But one through line in your story is you are very motivated and are able to teach yourself these skill sets. And especially now with like our access to so much information online,
Yeah, yeah.
people should feel really empowered to, if there's something that they want to learn that they can be, that they're interested in, like go online, do research, see if there is like a small course that you can take. Even Udemy has like really great courses.
I use lynda.com, and that's how I learned making websites, and they would have tutorials where you could follow along, and that's how I built a portfolio of web designs because I would follow along. I kind of fibbed in the interviews. I wanted to get a job so bad and get out of my parents' house and move on with my life and pay off my debts. I kind of fibbed and said that I knew more than what I actually did.
I love that. Just like go in with confidence. If an opportunity comes your way and you have that thought of, ooh, I don't know that, but I know I can learn, take the opportunity. Sometimes when we're forced into those situations, we realize how much we can learn and grow from them and how quick we can do it. Like for you, it sounds like you learned how to code, but you continue to follow your interests in your digital products. You just started creating. You liked to make things look really beautiful. And that has led you into building this very cool business. Also, I wanted to point out you're very ahead of the game all the time. It sounds like you're able to find trends or things that are about to be popular and are needed in any space and almost be one of the first to see success in that, because I know right now digital products is like a huge thing, but maybe when you started it wasn't as big.
Yeah, yeah, it's like the same with AI. Because when I was at Verizon, American Airlines, I actually did machine learning. I got to be a really good developer, and I would, crack algorithms. So then when AI became popular to the masses about 3 years ago, like, I really latched on because I had seen what it could do with machine learning, and, like, the time, nobody really cared about AI. I remember doing a summit called Pioneering Products with AI, and hardly anybody was interested. Like, I didn't get many signups because everybody thought it was a new fad, it was newfangled, and it would go away. But now everybody and their brother are, like, latching on and suddenly becoming these AI experts.
Yeah, AI is so huge right now, and clearly you're one to follow for the next trend. On that point, how have you started to use AI in your work now?
Well, I use it to create digital products. I made a new store. It's an offshoot of PLR Beach called Becky Beach AI. And I moved all my AI trainings from PLR Beach over to there. And I have like a whole bunch of GPTs that I had given out as affiliate bonuses. Because I make a lot of money with affiliate marketing, I'll make a bonus. So all the bonuses that I created over the years, I have them all in that new store. And that store is going very well. It's already made about like 12,000 in sales since it opened. And so I have master classes. I put all my AI courses in there. It actually has the courses in. It's like an all-in-one business solution, and it has the courses in there too. I'm moving the membership over there as well.
Very cool. Always love to close it out with this question. And speaking about, bigger dreams for ourselves and overcoming these limiting beliefs, what are you most excited about in this entrepreneurial journey or for your digital products business and membership?
Well, I just look forward to helping people because I actually quit my job about 5 years ago. It was back in September. It would be 5 years, and at the time I was making six figures at this job, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. Like I was making a lot of money. I had my debt paid off at the time, and because I was also running the blog, and because at the time I quit, I was making 20,000 a month from the business, and so I did have enough money to live on. So I highly recommend people that are thinking of quitting their job and going all in the business, like wait until you're actually making some money from your business first, and like do it a side hustle, and if you could pay for at least like 3 months to 6 months in expenses, like as a safety net, like have that saved up, and then that's when you could quit your job. Because otherwise, if you quit and then you just find that, oh, my business isn't supporting me, and I'm going to have to get into debt, or I'll have to, like, yeah, so you really need to watch yourself. So I was glad that I was making a really good income from the business when I quit my job. And now I'm doing it full time, and I was able to make about 80,000 last month. So I've been able to double and triple and quadruple the income over time. And because I put so much more time into it, I'm not working the job anymore, and I don't like to do services. The only services I do now are like coaching. I'll do coaching calls once a month, and now I have two one-on-one clients that I'll give one-on-one calls each month. Just two people I'm working with that and that intimately. And I tend to not take on too many people one-on-one because I don't want to overburden myself. I want to give them all the time they need, to really expand their businesses. So that's about the only services I do. But other than that, it's all passive income business. Because every time I look in my email, I'm getting more sales.
That's awesome. But I love those little emails of you have a new transaction. I always come back down to impact and purpose. And as cliche as it sounds, it really is the best motivator that you can have when you're building a business and when you are able to work with those clients or see the outcome of what you've built and how it's helped people. It's so satisfying, and I think it makes so much sense that that's what you're continuing to look forward to in building your business. And
Mhm.
where can people find you if they're interested in your digital products or in working with you? You have a really great membership.
Sure, you can go over to coachbeckybeach.com/freebie, and you get a free workbook that helps you launch your first digital product. And then along with that, you get a accompanying GPT, that's like a specialized bot for Chat GPT, and it will help you build your funnel to sell your product. So I highly recommend everybody go over to coachbeckybeach.com/freebie. You can find all my links there, like my membership, social media, and like coaching services and like courses and all that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate the time, and I think that your story is just so inspiring and is really going to motivate a lot of people to maybe start and launch their own digital products or just change careers and get themselves out of whatever potential rut they're in now, because we all deserve a lot more than just being in a toxic environment. And
Yes.
really, financial abundance is, we all deserve that, no matter what background
Mhm.
you come from. So thank you so, so much for this conversation.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few takeaways from Becky's story. One is, no matter what your childhood story or past circumstances are, there is always a way out. Becky's transformation is one of the most powerful I've ever heard. She rewired her beliefs around money, worth, and possibility. And you can do the same. Our beliefs create our reality. Get the support you need, whether that's therapy, coaching, community, or resources. It will be worth it. If you're in a rut, see it as an invitation to grow. Instead of staying stuck in scarcity mode, use that frustration as leverage. Look at your beliefs around yourself, safety, and success. What needs to shift? And quick disclaimer here, no one deserves to be mistreated at work, ever. If your workplace is harming your health or dignity, that is a red flag, not a reflection of your worth. 3, start simple. What do you love? What are you curious about? What could you make money doing? You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. Build your business while supporting yourself through a stable income. Start by researching, exploring ideas, experiment until something sticks. And along those same lines, use what you already know and don't be afraid to learn what you don't. Becky used her love for design and her background in UX, but she also learned new skills like sales and marketing. If you don't have the skills yet, learn them. The internet makes that possible. And lastly, coaching and programs can be transformative. Just make sure that they're the right fit. Invest from a place of alignment, support, and strategy. And that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you all next time.